let me know who's here. Um, Let me know in the comments, put me in the comments if you're ready to learn about how to stop this compulsion to compare yourself to other people and measure up your self-worth by measuring yourself against other people. Go ahead and put me in the comments if you're ready to really start to understand why this is happening, where this is coming from, and how we can start to shift this behavior. Go ahead and drop me in the comments if this is a topic, if this is a question that you've been asking yourself. And oftentimes, this is a question that I get asked a lot by clients coming in my door. So go ahead, put me in the comments, let me know that this is something you're ready to learn today. You're ready to really take what I tell you today and begin to implement it. Like as soon as we get off of here, as soon as we get off this, the stuff I give you is not stuff that it doesn't take a lot of time to start to see results. And I think the first block for a lot of people is that once they're given a tool or strategy that it still takes weeks or months or years to start to begin to attract what we really want. And this is not true. This is not the case. You can start to reattract what you want. You can flip that now. As soon as you have the awareness, the insights that you need, you can shift what you're attracting just like this. It happens so fast. But where people struggle is right keeping it up, like keeping up these new habits, these new behaviors. And today, the behavior we're going to talk about is this behavior of comparing ourselves to others. Now, the first thing I want to get clear about and why so many people ask this question, right? And so many people are not getting answers, and you're perhaps we're running around with like chickens with our head cut off, not able to find the answer. And the first reason is because of the goal. The first reason why we struggle to stop comparing ourselves is because the goal of stopping comparing. So listen carefully to this. We say it, it's very colloquial to say, how do I stop comparing myself? But that goal is not realistic. That goal is not possible. And why is that? Because this habit of comparing is instinctive to us as animals. It's part of our biology to need to know where we are in society. So it's actually a natural thing. This happens naturally. So meaning this is something we all do. It's something we're born with. So when we have this goal of like, how do I get rid of this? You can't get rid of it, right? Like you can't eliminate like a biological need to survive. Okay. So what's going to be more powerful for you? You know, I think, when people say, I want to stop comparing myself, what I'm hearing is I want to feel better about myself. I want to stop measuring myself against others and not feeling good enough, right? Is this sounding a bit more realistic? Does this sound a bit more like a better goal? Like, how do I start to feel better about where I am now, who I am right now? That's a better goal. That's a goal. That's something we can change. But this thing where we go around and we're measuring up against others is just to really find out where we are in society. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. The problem is when we make it something that's negative, right? When there's this, psychologists have divided this habit of comparing into two different types of categories. So there's this upward comparison, and then there's this downward comparison. Okay? So for those of you for those of you watching, if this is resonating with you so far, just go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and like this video if this is making sense to you, or if I need to slow down, or if there's another question here that you need answered. Go ahead, start dropping your comments below. Let me know what you think. What's coming up for you as we're talking here? Like, how do you compare yourself with others? Is it by your intelligence? Is it by your social status? Is it by your wealth? Is it by your beauty? Right? Because how we compare ourselves comes from our values. It comes from what we value. And if we've taken on society's values, we're going to focus on beauty, right? We're going to focus on status in our jobs. We're going to focus on the amount of money that we're making, how luxurious or not our lifestyles are. So this is where, if you're asking this question of how do I stop comparing myself, you're probably comparing yourself at a disadvantage. You're probably doing this, what is called a downward comparison. So a downward comparison is where someone else is worse off than you. You do this downward comparison, and that's when you're comparing, and who you're comparing yourself to is worse off than you. And then there's this upward comparing. Upward comparing is they are better off than you. So where do you spend more of your time, upward or downward? Let me know in the comments. Do you spend more time comparing yourself and telling yourself like this person is worse off than you? Or do you focus on people who are better off than you? Upward or downward for you? Which do you spend your time focusing on? Do you make yourself look better than others? Or do you make yourself look worse off than others? See, this is very important to know which direction you compare yourself. Is it that you are better off or everyone else is better off? See that? It's important to start to separate how you compare yourself, because this is going to impact your self-esteem. How you compare yourself is going to impact your self-worth, your own idea of your self-worth, and your level of self-esteem. So are you worse off than everybody, or is everybody worse off than you? Which one is it? Upward or downward? Which one resonates with you? Go ahead and let me know below. Is this thing on? Can you guys hear me? Upward, unfortunately. So Seth says, I've actually been working on stopping trying to compare myself. Upward, unfortunately. So everyone else is better off. So they are better off than me. Okay, yeah. Seth, thank you for sharing. Yep. So anyone else, start dropping what you do, right? Let's start calling out our behaviors. And let's become conscious of our behaviors. So now we can take the next step, which is, how do I shift this? How do I not so much stop doing this, but what can I do instead is a better goal, right? So for those of you watching, those of you jumping in, go ahead and drop. Am I upward? Are you upward comparing, or are you downward comparing? Is everyone else downward being everyone else is worse off than you, or someone is worse off than you? Upward is they are better off than you. That other person's better off than you, whether it's in intelligence, ability, social status, wealth, beauty, all of these things. So why not? Like, why not just continue to compare, right? What are the consequences of this game? It's a game. Recognize first, it's a game that we play as animals. It's a game that we play as sophisticated chimps, right? These, chimps also play this game of hierarchy comparing. So chimps also do this. So recognize this is very instinctive, right? So don't beat yourself up about this. This is the first step, is do not beat yourself up about comparing, because this is an ability that we have a natural tendency to do. Lillian says everyone else is better than me. Okay. Okay, good. So good. We're really starting to put some awareness around where we think we sit among others. This is good. So here's the problem with this, though, is that upward comparing ourselves, when we compare ourselves in a way that others are better off. Here's where comparing ourselves, comparing ourselves is not a bad thing. Comparing ourselves can be a great thing. It can be an incredible source of motivation for us. However, it can also determine how we feel about our self-worth. That's the issue here. So we're going to get into what's a better way of comparing ourselves, so we don't have to feel like we're not good enough, or we don't get to move forward, or we're at some sort of disadvantage. Here's the thing with upward comparison can be an extremely great source of motivation, right? Because if someone else is like better off, right? If someone else is better off, that might mean, oh, they have that thing, I can get it too, right? I don't have it, they have it, whether it's beauty or, I don't know, a new dress, or some sort of status in society, or some certain money in your bank account, or something, you want to lose weight, right? If you want to lose weight, that person's in the shape you want to be in. This could be such an incredible source of motivation for you if you compare in a way where you don't go into sadness or anger, or feeling powerless or bitter, right? So upward comparison can be extremely, in fact, this is what I use to stay motivated, is looking at what others have that you want and realizing, hey, they have it, I can have it too. How many of you do that? How many of you compare yourself in a way and you see what others have and you're like, and what registers is, oh, they have it, I can have it too. This is healthy upward motivation. This is a healthy way to compare yourself to others, which will create it will move you naturally towards what you want. Why? Because you're not getting anxious. There's no emotional block there. It's like you're just sitting back and taking notes about what other people have. Oh, they have that nice house. Oh, how can I get that house? Do you hear the difference? Versus unhealthy upward motivation, unhealthy upward comparison is going to generate things like envy and jealousy and low self-esteem. So when you're doing upward comparison, are you generating like drive and motivation and excitement from seeing what others have that you don't? Or are you generating envy and jealousy and low self-esteem? So now here's where we want to categorize this now again. Okay? And the problem with this unfair comparing that you do, and honestly, comparing yourself in a way that creates a disadvantage for you, it's just not fair to you, right? Like, I can think of a great example here. So when I was very overweight in college, I was always bitter and jealous of the models on magazine covers, on like fitness magazine covers. I'm sure some of you, especially you ladies, can relate, right? I was always jealous. I would see fit women who were in shape, skinny women. I would feel bitter and jealous and envy. And the problem with what I wanted was that, and this goes for you too, is that you cannot become another person. You will never have what someone else has because it's not yours to begin with, right? Like that person has that house, so you can never have that house, but you can have your own version of that house, or you can have your own house that you feel proud to be in, that you feel happy to be in, right? The last goal you want to make for yourself is, how do I become that person? And actually, this is again enmeshment. Again, we're going back to enmeshment here. If your goal is to become another person, or to be like, to start to try to get what they have, this is now an issue of an enmeshment. So that's again a completely different category. Not everyone here struggles with enmeshments, but you really want to ask yourself, what is my version of that? What is my version of fit? What is my version? What would I look like if I felt healthy and in shape, right? What would my house look like? What would the car I want look like? See that? So you want to start coming up with your own versions of what you want, instead of going after what you think everybody else wants or what they have. You will never have someone else's body. You will never have their body. Why? Because it's their body. It's their body. You will never have their body. Focus on your body, make your body healthier. Don't focus on everyone else's bank account. Make your bank account grow. Focus on your bank accounts. You will never have someone else's exact position, because you're not the same person, but you can create your own promotion in your career, right? Or as a coach or consultant or whatever it is you're doing. Especially if you're a coach and consultant, if you're comparing yourself to other coaches and how much they're making and how many clients they're working with and it's like you're not your own person anymore. You're not digging into yourself. It's like you're trying to mind read others. Anyway, we're going down a rabbit hole, so let's get back here on track. So the other consequences of comparing yourself is it creates strain in relationships. When you compare yourself at a disadvantage to others, it creates a strain in relationships. Right? Maybe you compare your marriage to other marriages, or you compare your relationship with your girlfriend or your boyfriend with other people's relationships. Or you go back to comparing your level of fitness with someone else's level of fitness. So we want to make sure that when we are looking at what others have and what we don't, we want to make sure it's realistic. It's realistic, right? What I learned was that it's not realistic for me to hold on to a six-pack all year long. That was what I had to learn. Was that this thing on the magazine covers that I really wanted, I could not hold on to all year long. Why? Because of my genetics, because of my history, because of my past, my eating habits. That's not for me. So when you see things you don't have and others do, and it's something you want, is it realistic for you? That's important as well. And the last thing you're going to want to do, right? This is where people really kind of sell themselves short, is that how we feel about ourselves depends on the misfortune of others. Does how you feel about yourself depend on the misfortune of others? Go inside and ask yourself this right now. Do you feel better about yourself when others are losing? Do you feel good about yourself like when other people, do you still feel good about yourself when others are winning? Or do other people have to be at a disadvantage or at a misfortune for you to feel good about yourself? I can tell you, I know this loop as well. When, taking pride or feeling good about someone else's suffering because you don't have it, it's such an awful way to live. It's so painful to live that way. And I'm sure all of us can relate to this in some regards. We all have a little bit of narcissism within inside of us that we carry from our childhoods. But do you want to continue like that? Do you want to continue having your self-worth, your self-esteem dependent on the misfortune of others? What's the answer? For those of you watching, drop yes or no in the comments. Do you want to continue letting the misfortune of others, the downfall of others, to give you your sense of self-worth? Yeah. It's awful. Because, first of all, that leaves you out of control. You're out of control with how you feel about yourself. It's always going to depend on your environments. And you will never have what you really want underneath all of that, right? When somebody is bitter at someone else, it's because there's something that they want deep down, deeper, on a deeper level. And what if you focused on that instead? So let's talk about the solution to this issue of comparing, right? What we've discovered here is that there's no button to turn off comparing, because we are all animals. We all have a biology. We all have biological needs as human beings, and as, like I said, sophisticated chimps. We all have needs. You want to know where you are in society, right? It's going to be very hectic to go through life and not know where you stand. It's very, like, this is a biological need, right? Like when you're sitting in a classroom with a teacher, you need to know that you're the student and they're the teacher, right? So we go into this comparison mode. Okay, they're the authority or they're the teacher. I'm the learner. I'm going to sit here and learn. You want to know where you stand so it doesn't create conflict, right? You want to know where you stand in your relationships. You want to know where you stand, especially if you're a business owner with your clients. There's got to be a hierarchy there in order to maintain a sense of order, right? There has to be a sense of order for us to get through life. So hierarchy is inevitable. However, how you build the hierarchy and how you react to the hierarchy is going to decide whether you feel good or not good about this process. So we get to decide, do I want to feel good when I compare myself to others? Do I want to feel good, or do I want to continue feeling like shit? So here's the question you got to answer. What do you want? Do you want to go through life comparing and being in this hierarchy, feeling like crap about where you are? Or do you want to realize where you are and be okay with that and use that upward motivation to drive you naturally towards what you want, to be motivation instead of not motivation? So here are 5 tips now I'm going to give you, so we can start to flip all this around now. So you can get out of this unhealthy source of motivation. It's not even motivation, right? What's motivating about feeling like crap about what you don't have? Like, there's nothing motivating about that. So recognize that. I often hear from clients that, oh, if I compare myself, then it makes me more motivated. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's not motivation to look at what someone else has and what you don't and be bitter and envious and jealous. That doesn't motivate you. It doesn't motivate you to go in a healthy direction towards what you really want. And I know for some people, we fool ourselves into thinking, well, if I'm angry and upset with myself, when you compare yourself to yourself, right? When you're looking at yourself, comparing yourself to your ideal self, because we do this as well. So we compare ourselves with other physical beings around us, and we compare ourselves as we are now to our idealized version of ourselves, right? How many of you understand what I'm talking about here? Put yes in the comments. Do you recognize you also compare yourself as you are now to your idealized version of yourself? And again, is that an upward motivation? Is that idealized version of yourself better off or worse off? It's super important here now, guys. So what's the first step here? I want you all to think about one way in which you compare yourself to others. What is your primary way of comparing yourself to others? We all have like the most common ones, right? Money, our status at our jobs, our level of beauty, our level of fitness, our social status, or the abilities that we have, our intelligence. Pick one thing. Pick one thing you compare yourself to others in an unhealthy way and in a way you feel worse off. And I want you to ask yourself, the thing that you want, let's say that would satisfy that, is that realistic for you? Let's say this person just bought a house. They just bought a nice brand new house and you want a house, right? You want your own house. Is it realistic for you to have the exact house that they have? Or is it more realistic for you to have a house that you want? See that? So here's where you want to separate yourself from what others have, from what others have, from what is possible for you. So what's possible for you is, yeah, you can have a house too, right? Maybe your house looks different in a little bit, is different in a few ways. Maybe that your mortgage is different. Maybe it's in a different location. Maybe the color of the house that you want is different. Maybe the size, right? The square footage. So start coming up with your own version of what others have. That's realistic for you. This has to be realistic for you. What I learned on my journey was that it was not realistic for me to hold on to a six-pack all year long. That was just not realistic for me. It's just not ideal. So make sure your goals are realistic. If it's beauty, right? If you're like, well, this woman has perfect hair, or makeup is always on point, or I love, their wardrobe. Is that possible for you to have those things too? Can you also have, a really great, your own great makeup routine, your own amazing wardrobe? Yeah, probably. Yeah, you can go get that too. You can go get that as well. So that's realistic, right? Now, you may not be buying clothing that's from the same place, right? But you're creating your own version of what others have. The next step here, after setting realistic goals for yourself, is to start using upward comparison in a way where it's not self-destructive. Where you're not feeling negatively about the differences between you and others. So start to look at what others have that maybe in the past you felt jealous about. And ask yourself, can I get my own version of this? Is this something that's possible for me too? And that will get you out of that jealousy, that envious, and that bitterness. The next step here is to start to value the process and not just the outcome. All of us want instant gratification. All of us want that instant gratification. We want that money in our bank account right now. We want that beauty. We want to be at that, body shape or size right now. We want to have that family right now. We want to have that house right now. We want to be smart right now. This is not a goal that's going to work. Recognize you will be in a hamster wheel for the rest of your life if you rely on instant gratification. So start to value the process. Start to see the value in the process. What's the value in the process of becoming smarter, of going to get that house? What about building that family, or getting back in shape, into that shape or that size you want to be at? Where's the value in the process? What is the value in the process of getting there? This will also unhinge this comparison behavior being a problem. And you'll start to realize that this comparing behavior can be like a dynamite. It can be that motivation for you when you start to unhinge from these things and change these perspectives. The next thing is to start to appreciate what makes you different. Do you beat yourself up for what makes you different? Do you make yourself wrong for what makes you different? And if you do, you're always going to have that everybody else is better off than me, and I'm always like on the one down, one up position, Recognize as long as we're comparing, there will always be this one up, one down position. Somebody always has to be one up, and there always has to be a one down. So, do you want to do this in a way where it makes you feel like you're not good enough, or you're going to make up stories about why you're not enough? Or what if we started to create a story about how can I get there? How can I get something similar? If I want that fitness, what do I need to do to get there for myself? Because guess what? Here was a huge insight that I learned when I was on my fitness journey, but this applies to every goal. This applies to every goal. Was that me focusing on others will not get me closer to my goal. I'm going to pause right here and I'm going to say it again, because once you have this insight for yourself, you are naturally going to start focusing less on others and compare yourself to your idealized version of yourself. Is that when you focus on others and your focus is not on you, that is not going to help you move forward to what you want. Because in order to get what you want, your behavior has to change. Your behavior doesn't change when you're just focusing on others. You are not going to get what you want by focusing on others. Because what are you doing in that moment? You're focusing on others. If you're focusing on others, you're not focused on yourself. So why would you start making different decisions? It's such a small little minute detail. But I guarantee you, if you're asking this question of how do I stop comparing myself, if you're asking this question, you're stuck somewhere, right? You're stuck somewhere. You're not moving forward somewhere. You have the foot on the gas, you have your foot on the brake at the same time, right? Does this make sense? Put yes in the comments or no. Like this doesn't resonate with me, or yes, it does resonate with me. Do you get stuck in a trance just focusing on other people? And I see this at the gym. The gym is a great place to kind of be do some people watching, or or the mall. And so many people just sit around just focusing and looking at others. Are you doing this? Are you sitting around focusing, looking at others, wishing and hoping and wanting? Wishing, hoping, and wanting is not going to bring you anything. It's not going to bring you anything. And I know a lot of people spend their time here. So this is the first habit you need to unhinge. Is that wishing and hoping, wanting, being envious, being jealous is not moving you towards your goals. So what do you need to do? What are the actions you need to take to start to move towards your own goals? Anyway, for those of you watching, what was your aha moment here today? What was the thing that clicked for you? What did you take away today? What are you going to start to change now? For those of you watching, what is your takeaway? Because I said a lot of really important things, a lot of huge insights here. But for everyone else, what resonates is going to be a little different. So what resonated here with you today as we wrap up here? What's resonating with you? What was your aha moment? Are you sitting around wishing, hoping? Are you sitting around in envy and jealousy? And are you seeing how much time you're wasting by doing that? I know I caught myself doing this. It's a complete waste of time to sit around in bitterness and in envy and in jealousy. And the final nugget here to really start to turn this around for you, and keep putting your aha moments in the comments, is gratitude. If you do not practice gratitude, you will always be stuck in the habits of not feeling gratitude. Do you see that? You either feel gratitude, you either practice gratitude, or you don't. And if you can't feel grateful to yourself, then you can't feel grateful towards others. So this is the final step. This is the final nugget, is to start to practice gratitude. So you can move forward and feel grateful when others are at their goal. You can look at others at their goal and be like, oh wow. That just lets me know I'm grateful to see this. I'm grateful to see this person buying their own giant house or their own dream house, because that just means that I can have my dream house one day. And you're grateful for them showing up in your life, showing you that it's possible. So how do you start to do this? How do you start to practice gratitude? I will record another video about this in the future. But a tip you can take away right now to start right after this is to identify at the end of the day, today, 3 things, 3 ways the universe showed up for you today. How did the universe show up for you today? Big or small, I was running late to a meeting or to some errand, and all of the lights just happened to be green when they typically are red. See that? Or, wow, I wasn't expecting to get a good night's sleep and I slept all the way through. I slept great. What are ways in which the universe showed up for you, not to get you, not to attack you, but to help you? How is the universe helping you? If you can start to make this one shift, everything else will fall into a place like dominoes. So start with these things. Start to practice gratitude with what I just talked about. Identify 3 ways the universe showed up for you. Do this every day for 2 weeks. I would say even do this every day for 30 days. Make it a challenge. 30 days. Identify 3 things every day you can be grateful for, how the universe showed up for you. If you miss a day, you start over, so you hold yourself accountable. And again, going down these solutions is to appreciate what makes you different from others. Value the process, not just the results. Set realistic goals, realistic for you. Not realistic in general, realistic for you. What's realistic for you? And finally, start to use upward comparison in a way that's going to move you forward, in a way that's going to feel good and not block you. Because again, we can use upward motivation to move forward. We can say, oh, they have that thing, which means that's awesome. I can go get it too. Or we can use upward motivation to say, oh, they have that thing and I wish I had it. I wish I had it. I hope I get it. No, do not do this. This is not about disempowering yourself. It is about empowering yourself. Okay? So what did you take away from today? Post it in the comments as we wrap up here. Post in the comments, what was the one thing that really resonated with you from this chat? And that will be what you take away after this video. Start to practice this as soon as you get off this video. If you don't, your life is not going to change. Your life is not going to change by watching a video. Your life is going to change by you taking action. So this is Lydia from Convert with Confidence. I will talk to you all later this week.